big group, and there were 17 of them. And rented them all set up when they come.
That's pretty nice.
Good evening, everyone. It's 6 o'clock. I'm your Mayor, John Penny. I'm going to go ahead and call the City of Holly Hill Commission meeting to order. Val, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Snow,
Here.
Commissioner Curry,
Here.
Commissioner Delanoy,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson, Mayor Penny.
Here. At this time, if you silence any electronic devices that make noise, put them on silent or vibrate or turn them off if you want to be sure. If everyone would please rise for the invocation led by Commissioner Jeff Delanoy and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, as we gather here today, we ask for your wisdom and guidance as we work towards the basic interests of the community. May our deliberations be marked with respect and understanding and the commitment to serve. Lord, we ask you also to be with Roy Johnson today as he's in the hospital. We ask you to bless him and his family and to heal him, Lord, so that he may recover. We ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to dismiss Commissioner Johnson for medical reasons. If anyone would like to make,
So moved.
Second.
anyone from the public like to discuss that? Seeing none, we'll close. Yes, sir. You have to come to the microphone. State your name.
Hello, everybody. My name is Steve Updike. I live at 300 Flemich Street. I've lived here for 4 years. I'm a retired senior citizen originally from Virginia. Can I ask, I know you don't like to answer questions, but the question, can you tell us what Roy Johnson's problem is? Because I
No,
think
sir, you can call him and
That's
ask
HIPAA
him.
laws, sir.
You
We
can call-
can't do that.
he's my representative, I think, for my area.
You would have to call and ask him. We can't release medical information, sir.
Oh,
That's against the law.
Well, I'm not asking you to break the law. I'm here to actually help you. I want you to help me enforce the law. That's why I came here.
Okay, you can call him and ask him personally. That would be a decision on his end.
Okay, Penny, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I was just a little bit concerned. I'm not.
I
here-
understand.
I'm not hostile. I'm here as your
I don't
friend.
think I'm treating you as
He's my
hostile.
representative. Even though I have never talked to the man, I know he's my representative.
And my advice to you is to call him,
Oh, okay.
all right?
Can I get you have his phone number?
It's on our website.
Okay, all right, 'cause
I don't have it, sir, but it's on
Valerie
our
probably-
website.
the city
Yeah,
clerk probably
Valerie
has
might
it.
be able to give it to you.
okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Anyone else like to discuss this matter? Seeing none, I'll close audience participation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries 4-1. Thank you.
Can I just bring up one thing? We really don't have to do that, just so you guys know. Our charter says that we can have 3 unexcused absences in a row, but we like to do it just out of courtesy. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. So we have a presentation. Water Conservation Month is April. Is there a representative from the Water Authority here this evening? None? Okay, seeing none, we'll just go ahead and enter this proclamation and mail it back to them. At this time, we'll recess the regular city commission meeting and convene as a community redevelopment area and address item 4, which is the CRA item, 2025-R-23. And our city attorney is caught in traffic. Apparently, there's a terrible accident on I-4.
I'm waiting for it to open up, Mayor. A resolution of the Holly Hill Community Redevelopment Agency recommending extension and modification of the Community Redevelopment Plan by the City Commission of Holly Hill to extend the plan for a period of 10 years, approving the Community Redevelopment Plan amendment, making findings, recommendations, and requests request, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Want to add anything?
Oh, we have a presentation by our representative from GAI. He'll come up, and then the staff will be prepared, along with our consultant, to answer questions the commission or the public may have.
Okay.
This is step one in a little bit of a long process for the next month or two. After tonight's meeting, as you're serving as the Community Redevelopment Agency, it will go to the Board of Planning and Appeals, serving as the Land Planning Agency, and they'll make a recommendation that it is hopefully in conforming with the comprehensive plan and future land use element. Then tomorrow it'll be sent to the county council for them to start their process. And then in April, it will come back to you at the first meeting in April for the first reading, and then a public hearing at the second meeting in April for final, becomes final after the county council makes their decision on it.
Thank you.
Okay, Tom.
Good evening. My name's Tom Kohler. I'm Senior Director with GAI Consultants. And a number of you remember me from our workshops. It's almost been 2 years, actually. It was the summer of...
Has it been that long?
Yes.
Not our fault for the delays.
No, I'm going to go over that. I have presented you what I call the Reader's Digest version.
Excuse me one second. Chief, can you turn up the volume? I think people are having a hard time hearing.
Okay. Hang on just a second.
Is this on?
It's on, I think. Okay.
How does that work?
Hello?
Is that better?
Can you hear you? Can you?
Thank
Yes,
you.
it was off.
Either that or I'm not speaking
No, you're
close
good.
enough.
They said you're good now.
Okay. The plan, the full plan has been on your website for
Right.
a number of months, so I'm not going to go into that in detail. What I did present to you today is what I call a placemat, a Reader's Digest version of this, and I told your staff that we will send this, we will also provide this so that it'll go on the website as well. But based on all of our input from those, remember we had stakeholder meetings and then we had public workshops, several of those. And when the results of that was to draft the plan. Now, our plan was ready to go forward about a year ago. We met with the county. We wanted at the being as cautious as we could to engage the county with this process, because the key is to get the county to agree to extending the time frame. And as a result of that, we went the extra mile beginning last May, and your previous mayor, city manager, and your assistant city manager met with their staff and their county administrator, went over in very detail what the plan was going to include. We were ready to move it forward for your adoption in the fall. Long story short, the county had wanted to negotiate further. Your staff has done an exemplary job of keeping them informed, keeping them in the loop, and we think we're now ready to move this forward. Again, the four goals, or four guiding principles and the themes of this plan were quality of life, infrastructure enhancement, attracting investments, and the keepers of the vision. And with each goal, we had projects and strategies to move forward. And then when you flip over your map, you see the entire CRA, and those are the projects that were identified. If you recall, when you were in those meetings, we had all the dots of what you wanted to do, what your strengths, your weaknesses, what you liked about the community, what you wanted to. So as a response to that, this is, again, gives you a straightforward approach without reading the 40 or 50 pages of the plan. A lot of that is required because of the, not because, as a result of Chapter 163. So with that, I'll just answer any questions. Again, everything is on the website for review, and as City Manager Forte said, this is the formal process. Your LPA will review it to see that it complies with your comp plan, which candidly it does, or we wouldn't send it to LPA. And then we will continue our discussions with the county, and hopefully they will approve their participation in extending, because it's a charter county, they have to give the authorization to extend it for 10 years. So with that, I'll answer your questions.
Anyone have any questions?
No,
No, but I do appreciate all the public outreach that was done on this, because that's very important. And I think we had some really good participation as well.
I think you had excellent participation, and we also got it from the website as well. So
Right.
those are strictly those that showed up, people were responding.
Any questions? Thank you. We may call you back up. We're gonna ask the public to come up. They may have some questions for you to answer. Would anyone from the audience like to come up? Yes, Mr. Legary.
Jim Legary, 342 Burley. I read the 60-some odd pages. Fascinating. One of the things that I noticed was in what the participants talked about, the junkyard on LPGA, but no, in the forecasts or whatever, there was no mention of it. I think the other thing, I rather feel that the CRA is an extension of the trickle-down theory. I think as far as the work to improve the business district, I think there's been accomplishments. But I don't think it has spread to the general population. I know we have, look how good I'm getting at this, FLUF 5.13 is to improve the general population economically. I don't think that's happening, and I think that should be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Anyone else from the public like to comment? We're going to close audience participation. Could you come back up and address maybe the junkyards? I don't know how many comments were on the junkyards and how much of a priority it was.
I'm going to plead ignorance. I'm not sure what we're talking about, the junkyard.
I think on LPGA, there's a salvage yard on LPGA. Is that what you're talking about, Mr. Legary?
Yes.
Again, I'm going to plead ignorance. I don't know what
Okay.
the gentleman is referring to.
Okay.
I mean, I was in all those sessions. I never heard the word junkyard, quite frankly.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any more questions?
Oh,
No.
So at this time, we will entertain a motion for approval.
motion for approval.
I'll second.
Any discussion needed amongst the commission? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries unanimously. We will now adjourn as a community redevelopment agency and reconvene as a regular city commission meeting. And we move to item 6, which is public comments. This is the time for the audience to address the commission for anything not on our regular agenda. Yes, sir.
I'm just going to have to thank you for helping
Wait till you get up. Everything has to be recorded.
Hi, again, my name is Steve Updike. I live at 300 Flowmich Street. I'm a senior citizen. I want to thank you, or whoever told Chief Williams to call me. The chief said he would investigate Marion Benet and Timothy Daniels, who has a criminal record for harming other people. Marion Benet owns a real estate company at 175 Daytona Avenue. Her and her son used to live there. She owns a lot of houses where she could have moved to, but for some reason Marion chose to move next door to me so she and her son, who's a criminal, could harass me, abuse me, stalk me. Now, Baptist preacher Gabriel Varga told me something about somebody with connection with City Hall used their real estate money to stalk, harass, and abuse Gabriel, an 85-year-old senior. That sounds a lot like Marion Benet, who used her real estate money so her son and her could stalk, harass, and abuse me. And so I wonder if there is any connection here. But the truth is, I'm not here hostilely. I'm just here hoping that we could solve our problem together and we can work together, Penny. Really, that's all I'm here for. I'm just an old man who wants to live his final years as retired like millions of other people here. So my think is if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So if you help me stop the stalking, harassment, and abuse here, I will stop the investigations, and we'll hopefully maybe someday be friends. I mean, I'm just an old man. I don't know. I would like to be your friend. I would like for you to be my friend. I'm not your enemy. I don't know. Maybe somebody told you I was. But you can look at me. This is it. I'm an old man. Got a few years left. Just trying to make the best of it, the same as you are. And if you think something else is going on, you could talk to me and I'll tell you, I'll answer any questions you have, anytime, anywhere. Because that's the whole story. So hopefully we'll come to some agreement where we can work out it. But I have no choice but to come here and ask for your help. I'm an American citizen like you, and I'm supposed to ask the police and you for your help. That's what we're supposed to do. This ain't the Wild West, and I don't know where else to go. You know, it's like I have no other choice but to ask you for your help. And if you can't help me, then I guess I'll have to go to the federal government and maybe Donald Trump if I have to, but hopefully it won't have to go that far. I mean, I'm just trying to live in peace my remaining years, Penny, and that's all I'm about. If you think there's something else going on, please, you know my address, you know my name. I'm sure the police have my record. I don't have a criminal record. I worked, I paid my taxes the same as you. Believe it or not, I bleed red, white, and blue too. Okay, my family fought in the Second World War. They stopped Hitler.
Thank you, sir. Could you just stay there one second? I'm going to break from protocol with the commission's approval. You've come to our commission meeting several times and talked about abuse and elderly abuse, and then you've left before we were able to address anything. So I want to make sure that I understand what's going on, because it's my understanding that the city manager asked the police chief to come out and investigate the situation.
And I want to thank you, Joseph Forte, for doing that. That's what I'm here. I started out by saying that.
No, and I understand that, but I don't understand what else we can do. I don't know what the findings were from the investigation.
Okay. I haven't gone into all the lawyer would understand the acts of horror. My lawyer once told me that. But my neighbor has beat up his girlfriend. I mean, he's an abusive person. He's broken her foot. And Marion has been witness to this because they've been together for 9 years, and they live in Marion's house. So I'm having to deal with a very sick, evil person, per the words of his girlfriend. She told me this personally. Her name is Regina. Now, I think the mother has got them married so that she cannot testify against them if she's not dead already. I told this to the judge,
Can we
by the way.
have the chief come up and explain to us the
No,
situation?
can I just say one more thing, Penny, please? John.
You need to address me.
Not being
I'd like to just
hostile,
give you-
I just would like to hear from my police chief.
Well,
Can we do that?
I talked to him, and he said he's going to help me with the investigation. I just said
Hang
that.
on. I'm not being hostile. I don't know why you assume I am, but,
She just talks loud.
yeah, I talked very loud, trust
I don't
me.
know you, Penny. This is like the third time I've been here, and the second time I've...
Okay, we're going to ask Chief Williams to come up and see, because
I would like him to explain to us the situation.
Thank-
You want to go have coffee or?
Thank you, sir. And unfortunately, we're not here, we won't solve your issue this evening, but just for the benefit of the people that may have been here the last couple times, I don't want people to think that we're ignoring the situation. So, thanks, Chief.
Chief Williams, Holly Hill Police Department. Well, I got a lot of the documents from the gentleman here of his complaint of abuse from his neighbors next to him. We have identified that there are restraining orders that have been put in place already. So that's one of the things I want to focus on is who's been violating the restraining orders. As far as currently right now, I have not seen any evidence of physical abuse, but we're still looking into that matter also. But there's a lot of different things that we got to uncover on this, peel back on this onion.
So we're basically in the middle of an investigation.
Yes, we're at the tip of it, so a lot of it has been investigated prior to me coming here, so a lot of it I will be reevaluating it once again, just to make sure nothing was missed.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
No, sir. Your time's up. I'm sorry. We're giving you way more, maybe more than anyone else. Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address the commission? You'll be next, ma'am.
Good evening, Commission. Chris Bremner, 168 Walker Street. I have been here before, and 2 years into my residency here in Holly Hill, I'm coming tonight to ask that somehow, some way, our police department does a better job. And I'm speaking primarily to my concern over traffic on Ridgewood, especially over our bike weeks. Since I moved here, I have asked for assistance, I've asked for help. I've had open communication with the department and with Mr. Forte. Nothing happens. It's all lip service. There's no visible increase in patrols. The speeding continues. I don't know what we're waiting for. Are we waiting for somebody to be killed on Ridgewood? Are we waiting for somebody to be killed on Walker? Is that what it's going to take to get some police coverage during these heavy trafficked weeks? It's mind-boggling to me. I know that we're a small city. I know that we're challenged, but there are certain incidents that happen in this town that need to have attention, and I think that Bike Week is one of them. That's all I'm asking for. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, I'm sorry, the lady in the tan shirt was next. You can come up next, sir.
Hello. Sandra Frazier. I live on Espanola Avenue and received a notice that there was going to be a change in the zoning behind our residence. We're within 300 feet. There's already a warehouse that has been recently put in, and it runs adjacent to the railroad, and it has really diminished our quality of living in our house. We've lived there over 25 years. The public shopping center that is duly on the south side of our residence is approximately 3 to 4 feet higher than us. The warehouses behind us are also
This is
higher.
on the
Yeah,
agenda.
this is a special exception that we're going to talk about later in the meeting.
Oh, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
During that item, you can
Okay,
come
I was
up.
not sure of that, so,
That's
Yeah.
fine.
well, I'll wait.
I'll wave at you and bring you back up.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Dan Peak. I live at 1318 Riverside Drive in Holly Hill. And I have two questions for you. First of all, when you come south from Ormond Beach and you look on the east side of Riverside or Beach, when you hit Holly Hill, junk everywhere. You come from Ormond Beach, it's pristine, it's clean. Can something be done about that? And then the speed limit on Riverside Drive in front of my house is 25. People are going 40, 50, 60, passing on a double yellow line. Somebody's going to get killed. I almost got hit tonight coming here. Can you put rumble strips out on the street? Can you park cop cars around? You can park a cop car right in front of my house. But it's ridiculous. So I'm asking if you can do something to clean up coming south and get some more police presence in front of our house.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the commission?
Hello, my name's Brian Frazier. I live at 792 Espanola Avenue, right directly next door to the public shopping center. On the same lines as everybody else seems to have an issue with a lot of people speeding through their neighborhoods. Since they redeveloped everything when they built Publix and they reconfigured the streets, there used to be an extra road that came out next to the Sonny's Barbecue called Sevilla, I believe it was, Seville or Sevilla. They eliminated that road, and we have a lot of cut-through traffic that doesn't even belong in that neighborhood. Some speed bumps would definitely help down that neighborhood. 2 doors down from my house, I got this young kid who decided to get a motorcycle and do wheelies up and down the road. I called the sheriff's department, they're too busy to do anything about it. My question is that particular road, Espanola Avenue, is that Holly Hill? Or is that the sheriff's department and county's responsibility? Since I've been there, every time I have a problem with someone dumping trash or something of that nature across the street from my home, which is a commercial property, Bentelli Golf Cart is there now. It's the old dollar store, I believe it was, for years. When they closed it, people would just dump trash across the street. It was like pulling teeth trying to figure out whose responsibility it was to get it taken care of. Nobody wanted to step up and say, yeah, that's ours, or it isn't ours. Can you tell me whose responsibility?
Which side are you?
Are you north of the?
Are you
golf
north?
My particular property, yes, I'm on the north side of public shopping.
That's county.
You're in the county.
My particular property is county.
That's
The
county.
road is also?
Yes, that is the county's jurisdiction,
Okay.
okay?
But even a speed bump would definitely slow the people down coming.
That would be the county, sir. We have no say over that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the like to address the commission this evening on anything not on the regular agenda? Seeing none, we'll close audience participation and try to answer some of the concerns that I heard. Chief, could you come up back to the microphone, please? Concerning speeding, I live 1 house from Riverside Drive, and I've often questioned the speed of vehicles, especially loud vehicles like motorcycles. And we have, over the past several years, put out the traffic, whatever that thing's called.
Speed trailer.
Speed trailer. And now I have a speed trailer that you don't know that's there, so they can put it out, because people used to play games with it, see how fast I can go. But often, most people overestimate the speed of vehicles traveling on the highways because of the sound. And we have received a grant, I believe, from the state of Florida. Chief, can you elaborate on the grant and what we're doing on US 1, spending that money?
This grant is from Florida Department of Transportation. It's called a HVE grant, a High Vehicle Enforcement Grant. The city was awarded $30,000 for overtime for officers to only just conduct traffic enforcement throughout the city itself. So with that, we have been deploying officers. We have to actually have 6 at least operations a month. That's the requirement of the grant. So that means 6 times a month, we actually have to have officers out there actually patrolling and conducting overtime operations for traffic enforcement, which we've been doing. We've been doing actually more than what is required of us in this particular grant. We've also put out the speed trailers to monitor the traffic. We also done other different type of traffic enforcement operations. Specifically during Bike Week, we made sure we increased the officers on the street to just focus on the traffic enforcement of the bikes itself, because we wanted to make sure we pay special attention to that. I reached out to some of the ones that I have been conversating with prior to Bike Week, because they informed me during Biketoberfest of the issues. So we basically had been communicating throughout that time period. So when it came to Bike Week, when we started deploying our officers and our different resources, we reached back out to some of them, but some of them we didn't hear back from. So if there are some issues that we needed to address, I definitely have an open door, and my phone is there to receive those complaints. Once we get those complaints, we try to get right on top of those.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry, we can't do a back and forth right now. You can get him after the meeting or get us after the meeting. And then I think the other thing that wasn't addressed was trash on the side of the road. A year and a half ago, the city commission decided to add a new employee to our staff. I don't know what the official title was, but it's garbage picker-upper. That guy went around with a trash can and a basket and picked up trash throughout the city, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. The first guy we did it stuck it out longer than I thought he would, and that's a very difficult position to fill. So I don't know is that position currently filled, Joe, or not?
No, it's the lowest level in the Public Works Department, so when we have vacancies, that's the position that goes vacant, and until we're fully staffed, that still will remain vacant. We continue to try to fill it, but the problem that was brought up has nothing to do with that position or that person. That's privately owned property, so we'll send code enforcement out and have because the people on the upland side have ownership of the property on the east side of Riverside Drive now, and it's their responsibility to maintain that property. So I'll make sure code enforcement's made aware, and they'll go out and they'll sweep all of Riverside Drive between this week and next week.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
And if, at any time, if there's anyone that wants to meet with us after the meeting, Valerie has our cards, we're all accessible, our cell phones are all on there, emails, so reach out to us at any time. I think you have a very...
Also, our information's on our website.
Okay, thank you. So now we're going to move to item 7, which is the approval of the minutes of the March 11th, 2025 workshop and March
Mayor,
11th.
Yeah, before we do that, under public comments, I want to go ahead and introduce our newest hire, who is Fred Griffith, who is the city's newest stormwater engineer that I promised we would be hiring. And Fred comes with a wealth of experience. He'll come up and tell you a little bit about himself. I'm sure Joseph told him to keep it to a couple of minutes. But Fred has a wealth of knowledge. Fred is the one that people have talked about who had helped cure some of the problems in Ponce Inlet. So we went after him, we got him, and he responded to my email and my phone call, and here he is today.
Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Joe asked me if I had retired. I said several times, but I did do improvements in Ponce Inlet, helped them. I've helped in Benel, I've helped significant things in Flagler Beach as well. And I put in almost 29 years in Port Orange, working there and as a utility engineer, and I've lived 40 years in this area. And, my wife's dealt with me for longer than that. So I'm very glad to be finally serving Holly Hill, and I'm looking very encouraged to help you with some of your issues.
Thank you.
And I actually come from Ponce Inlet. I used to work at the police department there. I retired, so that's a good area.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We're happy to see you.
Got your work cut out for you.
Yes. We're glad you're here.
Yeah.
So now we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the March 11th, 2025 workshop and March 11th, 2025 regular city commission meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion needed?
Nope.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Now we'll move on to the consent agenda, which is items 1 through 4. The action proposed is stated for each item on the consent agenda. Unless the city commissioner removes an item from the consent agenda, no discussion on individual items will occur, and a single motion will approve all items. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on any item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve. I'm sorry.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Now we'll move to item 9, which is our regular agenda, which is a request for lien reduction at 746 Daytona Avenue. Joe?
Thank you, Mayor. So the city received a request for reduction of a code enforcement lien placed upon the property at 746 Daytona Avenue. The original owner was Jack A. Trim, Jr., who passed away on November 2nd, 2023. Through the process of probate, Ronnie Trim, a petitioner, petitioned the court for administration. Mr. Jack Trim was not survived by any spouse and had no children living or deceased. Mr. Trim's father is predeceased, leaving his mother, Mary Trim, as the sole beneficiary. Mary Trim is 90 years old and does not have the means or methods to repair the property, so she engaged a realtor to sell the property. to a buyer with the ability to make the necessary repairs. On October 27th of '23, an order of noncompliance was issued for a violation of the International Property Maintenance Code 304.7 for roofs and drainage, and additionally, on December 20th, 2024, an order of noncompliance was issued for violations of the International Property Maintenance Code under sections 304.1, 304.13, 304.2, and 304.8. The property remains in non-compliance. The property is in the process of being sold to Ryan McLeod and Martha McLeod through an as-is residential contract for sale and purchase. I negotiated with the buyers a reduction of the lien in exchange for an agreement to bring the property into full compliance within a specified period of time that's contained in the agreement in the agenda item. So the city is requesting the following as compensation to release the lien. The original total lien was $23,300, and after the typical fees that the city applies in the administrative costs and 10% of the lien, we're requesting to reduce the lien down to $3,549.55.
Any questions for Joe?
No.
Anyone from the audience like to discuss this lien reduction before us this evening? Seeing none, entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion needed?
No.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Now we'll move to item 10, which is public hearings, and this is concerning 1025 North Nova Road, special exception. Brian?
Yes, Mayor, Commissioner. The applicant is seeking special exception approval to allow a bar on a parcel in the B5 zoning district. The subject parcel is located on the northeast corner of Nova Road and 3rd Street. It's more specifically known as 1025 North Nova Road, units 103 and 104. This property is approximately 5 acres in size. It contains 2 buildings and approximately 38,256 square feet of shopping area. The applicant's applying for a bar pub, but in order to do that, a special exception is needed based on the provisions of Section 114-691 of the Land Development Regulations of Holly Hill. And those requirements and the applicant's responses or narrative to those requirements are in Exhibit A. The applicant has also provided an information sheet with their application that is labeled as Exhibit B, and that provides more details about the business itself. Now, in order for the bar / pub to operate at the subject location, this commission has to find that the site and conditions meet the 6 requirements of Section 114-691. And those specific requirements are in your staff report. Now, staff has reviewed those requirements and finds that the applicant meets 5 of the 6 requirements. The applicant does not specifically meet the following requirement, which is requirement 4. A 6-foot-high concrete block or other solid masonry wall shall be constructed on all property lines abutting any R1 through R9 zone property. There is, however, a 6-foot masonry wall, and it does abut commercially zoned property that's zone B1, and that contains 2 homes. So I'd like to ask the city clerk if she can bring up Exhibit C, please. So while the wall is not on the property line of the R2 zone property, it is well over 200 feet away from the residentially zoned property. The wall and distance from the residentially zoned property provide a significant buffer, and the homes on the residentially zoned property also have fences that separate them from the commercial property. So it is staff's opinion that the spirit of the requirement is met and therefore has no objections to the applicant's request. Section 82-346 of the Land Development Regulations provide guidance with regard to reasons why the special exception request can be denied. Those are also in your staff report as Exhibit D. Staff has reviewed the requirements and the applicant's responses along with reasons for denial The proposal is not inconsistent with any elements of the comprehensive plan, nor will it adversely affect the public interest or create a public nuisance. Based on that information, the information provided, staff does not object to the application for the special exception. I would add that staff did receive 2 phone calls from the public. Those phone calls were the result of them having received a notice. We do send out a notice to all people who are within a 300-foot radius of the property, letting them know that this special exception has been requested and the nature of it. One of the calls was just wanting to get more just general information. They didn't have any objection. I did get a call where there was concern about there being a daycare across the street on 3rd Street. And I did have someone leave a voicemail with me stating their objection to the request and also citing, as part of that reason, the daycare. So I did call the daycare center. I spoke with their director, a woman named Miss Caroline. She was not concerned about the fact that it was a bar. She said that they have infants and up to age 5. Her only concern was that she does not want anyone parking in her parking lot. So I did speak with the owner of the property, and he's going to make sure that the business owner who's applying to rent space and open up this pub, which there'll be pool tables and things of that nature, that they understand that their clientele cannot park across the street at any time, even on the weekends, at the daycare. So that was the only information that I received from the public as a result of the outreach, the 300-foot notices. Based on this, staff recommends conditional approval of the special exception to allow a bar on a parcel in the B5 zoning district. The subject property is located on the northeast corner of Nova Road and 3rd Street and is more specifically known as 1025 North Nova Road, Units 103 and 104. And the condition that staff is asking be incorporated into an approval or decision would be that a business tax receipt must be obtained and kept up to date for the business to operate. That concludes staff's presentation.
Any questions for Brian at this time?
I got a couple. Do you know how many square foot it is? How many square feet the bar's gonna be?
The actual
Yeah,
units?
yeah, and, yeah,
No, I don't. The applicant is here, the owner is here, and we'll be able to tell you what the leasable area is.
all right. Yeah, I'd like to know.
Okay.
Just curious.
Thank you, Brian. Would the applicant like to come forward and address the square footage and add anything else to the presentation?
Good evening, Commission. I'm Todd Hendricks. My wife and I own Holly Hill Station. The space that Legacy Pub is interested in getting special exception approval tonight is 2,000 square feet. Just to add a little more color to the application, as the property owner, I'm concerned with who my tenants are. Did a little background screening on them, and they actually operate in the current location in Edgewater, and the landlord at Riverside, where they're operating today, gave me a letter of recommendation of approval before I even went down the path of getting the special exception this evening. So just state the fact that I've done my due diligence on who these folks are. My wife and I are local to the area here. We own the property. My son's there twice a week, picking up the trash as a day porter. We have a vested interest in making sure that, we're a good neighbor to the daycare center. I'll make sure that the parking is conducted, on our property. And again, we're here to be good neighbors and give you guys the assurance that your approval tonight hopefully will be put to good use. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I go into that parking lot all the time, various things. How do you think the parking's gonna be affected right in front of those businesses?
Well, I think their peak hour use will probably be from 5, until their closing time.
Great.
Most of those businesses by 5 o'clock, you go there, they're all
Okay.
set for the day. So I think that it's actually a perfect use for parking demand.
It is, good.
So we got 130 spaces. I
Okay.
don't foresee them using more for their labor.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone from the audience like to talk about this issue? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Morgan Brummett, and I own the property at 294 Eddy Avenue. Morgan Brummett. And I'm not wild about a bar being within 300 feet of my house. I have 2 young kids. We already have people that come up and down a cul-de-sac, especially during bike week and those kind of events, and they're not careful. They're going very, very fast. It's very, very loud and disorderly. And I'm just not super excited about a bar being that close, and depending on what the hours are, that means people may be going up and down our street, and up to 2 a.m. Like, I noticed that the other bars in the area are open until 2 a.m., and I just don't think that's a good
I don't
thing
think
to
their
have.
hours were that late, if I remember.
What was your address again?
294 Eddy Avenue, I'm on the other side.
Are you on the corner house?
I'm
or-
not the corner house, no, but we still get a,
Yeah, so you're a couple doors down from the corner house, back south from 3rd Street.
yeah,
So-
we're off that, yeah. So I'm just not too wild about a bar going into that area. And then, my dad was actually killed by a hit and run DUI driver. And, I wonder how well it's going to be patrolled if you have, people drinking. The way they typically get to and from a bar is their car, and it's not ideal. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to discuss this matter?
Hello, I'm Christopher Delisle. I also live at 294 Eddy Avenue. I'm the one that actually tends to play outside of my children. I'm a stay-at-home father. Very frequently, we already have people blowing through down the road at 40, 30 miles an hour just because it is a straight shot with very little risk of people coming out, because there's many streets with little outlets. I can only imagine if we have people even slightly intoxicated, still a little buzzed, that they will just continuously be far more people blowing down that road at an incredible speed. There's not much of a police presence to begin with. I can't find any thought that usually help to alleviate this issue, and it would just exacerbate it. My biggest concern is people of an altered mind state walking down my road, wandering after the bar, in my yard. Again, we already have crime in there where people tend to take these roads to escape the police. Again, with people of an altered mind state, alcohol, bars do bring people who seek drugs because, again, it's just the environment. People looking to have fun. I can respect that. There are many bars already on US 1 that are away from the public, which is, in my mind, a better place for a bar. Have fun, have good times, but there are certain places that need to be kind of respected and kept safe for younger people, and families in general. I can only imagine that the homeowners and the renters behind this property will be heavily impeded and just running into constant issues and problems. Like, it's a fun thing, it's a good time, but there's certain places for that. Already across the road, there's like the billiards room, there's several other ones that are removed from local areas with homes and children and so on. I would just like this to be put into a different section further from my community. Not a broken record, but again, these are people with a VA mindset. We have a homelessness problem already. There's ones down at the convenience stores. What's the difference between the convenience store liquor and the one in a bar? And then just wandering around my neighborhood. It's a lot of hair splitting, but I do feel this is only going to bring an element of danger to my community and to my general area. Like on our street, we have 5 or 6 children that my son and daughter play with. People constantly are coming down there, just, they get mistaken, they get turned around, and they just fly. During bike week, we often have bikers rolling down there, rolling through there, terrifying the children. Just, it is already an area full of, an element of, just fun life. And this is not a thing I feel like we need in that area, any further. Thank you, that is my opinion and my piece. Thank you, Henry.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the commission on this issue?
Danielle Latona, 904 Newcastle Court. I don't live in that area, but I was just listening to everybody, and I mean, I understand there's fences in people's backyard, but I play my music in my house. I have like vinyl record, and the people behind me, I go back there and say on the weekend, listen, when I'm cleaning, redoing my house from the floods, if the music is too loud, and I mean, music travels. It's not something that, you know, unless you keep it at a very low volume, that your neighbors don't hear. And I know I wouldn't like, especially if my daughter's grown now, but younger, you know, you're trying to get your kids to bed 8, 9 o'clock. Most bars have band covers, that bands come in and they're playing. And even if you try your hardest to, you know, to keep noise down, it's hard to do, you know, and then the traffic. You know, there's kids that are still playing outside on bikes and walking with their parents at 6, 7, 8 o'clock, you know, and I don't know, I wouldn't want, unfortunately, not all people, but they're, you know, you go to a bar, you have 1, 2, 3 drinks. I'm sure the chief or anybody sitting up here, you could have 1 drink and blow above the legal limit, depending on what that drink is and what your size is and what your weight is. So I don't want to say a fall down drunk, but, you know, somebody could just be impaired, somebody cutting through or going down. And then my concern, I'm going to tie into, is we keep doing all this building and we keep, like, you know, talking about, you know, elevating property and stuff, but we're not talking about all the continued extra water that's now going into our 80-year-old sewer system. You know, more people, more sewer system.
You got to stay on task. That doesn't have anything to do with this issue.
Well, it does, because we're adding another property.
No, we're not. This is an existing
Okay,
building.
but it brings more people. Right now, there's not 50 people hanging out on this property, is what I'm saying. So it does tie.
This is the coffee cup. This is the big plaza.
I know where it's at. I know exactly where it's at. But, okay, so I'll get off of that. And then calling the daycare, I know they spoke to the director, but did they speak to the parents whose kids are there? You know, it's talking to the director is one thing, but talking to a parent with the kids. And, you know, that's our job as a community, whether people get upset about us coming up here and speaking or don't like other people. You know, our job as a community is to elect you guys and to come up here when we're not happy about stuff, whether it's likable or not. That's what our job is.
Thank you. I think there was someone else. Yes.
Hello, I'm Taylor. I own the Suzanne's Barber Shop at 1025 North Nova Road. The bar and pub...
I'm sorry, what's your last name?
Oh, Hergert, H-E-R-G-E-R-T. So I'm the owner of Suzanne's Barber Shop, and the bar and pub will be right next to me. So my only concern is, when will the hours be operating? And for parking, say if they get too drunk and they leave their car, do we have the right to tow the car, or like what's going to happen after hours of the operation? And honestly, if there's going to be drunk people in the plaza, if there could be cops at least paying attention to it, which I never had problems with the cops either, so they do good. So I just want more supervision, really, if I'm going to have people drinking by my store, because we already have homeless people and everything, which that's fine, but it's not as bad as it could be. So my main focus is parking, hours of operations, and just people supervising what's going on. That's my main focus.
Thank you. Anyone else from the audience? So we'll close audience participation and try to answer some questions.
John, can I say something?
Sure.
Taylor, I'm glad you're here. I got your message earlier, and I think most of the questions you have, that man right there should be able to answer them and be prepared for incidences in the future and what you're supposed to do. Great.
Brian, do you have the hours of operation?
The applicant would be.
Okay, should we bring the applicant up? Yes, sir.
And Mayor, real quick, Taylor, no, you can come up, sir. Taylor, it's private property, so it would be a private property tow. I don't know if it would be you or I don't know what your lease is like, so you or your property manager
I
here.
know there's, and the property owners here, there are some coffee cup only parking, so I don't know how that works with leases, and so if you could explain the hours of operation and
Yeah,
limited parking.
Hours of operation, the tenant let us know that they're trying 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. would be the hours of operation. Parking, the property's managed, we own the property's managed by Gino's and Marica, Daytona Realty and Property Management. They handle all of the property management issues. And, of course, if someone's left a car, on my property, we'll deal with it. If it needs to be towed, whatever it is, Taylor, you can contact Marica, you can contact, myself, and we'll take care of that. And again, any issues that arise, we want to be good neighbors and take care of any concerns that you have, and I'm happy to answer.
Okay, have any more questions for the applicant?
I do. When you were up here before, you said they would start at 5.
5
Yeah.
p.m.
Yeah.
I think you said that's the peak hours.
Peak hours.
I don't expect people there during the day as much, so I'd say, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. would be the peak time for parking use.
So are you saying they're gonna be open from 11 in the morning till 11 at night? I mean, most bars are open till 2 in the morning.
The application we've submitted, they close at 11 p.m.
So they'll be closed at 11.
Yes.
Is that a,
Application says 9.
application says 9.
Okay, I stand corrected.
Okay, thank you.
What, 9 in the morning till 11 at night?
10 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Oh, 9 p.m. at night? They'll,
Recreational bar limited to beer and wine sales with pool tables, darts, cornhole, serving the lounge and the lounge area. Hours of operation 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m.
wow.
I'm correct.
Well, that's closing awful early for a bar.
Can we have the,
I'm not encouraged for a late night establishment in my property, so I'm not.
But this is beer and wine only, Brian?
Beer and wine.
Correct, yeah, no.
yeah, that was my, I
Oh, yeah,
wanted,
is that-
because I saw that, but I wanted to clarify that it was only beer and wine.
So it's only beer and wine, yeah, I was gonna ask that, I'm glad you asked that too, yeah. So it's only beer and wine too?
Correct.
Yes.
And as far as the entertainment, is there gonna be bands there?
I think they may have music, but all of that's gonna be contained within the space, and that was one of the conditions that we needed.
So we're not gonna have any outside entertainment, no?
Outdoor speakers.
Okay.
Everything's gonna be contained, within that.
Okay.
1,000 square foot space.
Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant at this time?
Not for the applicant.
Mr. Simpson, just like to have you explain in legal terms what I'll try to explain in layman's terms, is that this is a quasi judicial matter, and so that no matter, our opinions don't really count. And so that people that come to testify before us this evening have to supply substantial competent evidence. That means you have to be an expert in your statement. So if people come up and say the property values are going to go down, you have to be a property appraiser. You can't just come up and say that traffic is going to increase, crime is going to increase, drunk driving is going to increase. I understand that's a concern, but that's where it's difficult for us in this legislative role, that we have to go by the laws and the rules. And so we can only take your opinion. We can't really consider your opinion, unfortunately. We can listen to you, but we can't consider your opinion. We can only consider the facts that you present to us. Like the operating hours are going to be 10 to 9, and it's beer and wine only. Those are facts. A lot of the things we heard this evening are opinions, and we have our own opinions. And you might not like alcohol. You might not want to support a bar or a pub, but it's substantial competent evidence that comes before us. And then the other thing is that special exceptions are written in our code. And if an applicant meets those certain thresholds, like Mr. Walker said, they met 5 of the 6, Brian, or 4 of the 5? 5 of the 6, and the 6th is the wall, which is the spirit. And then we only have so many reasons to deny. So our opinion doesn't count. We might not like it, but there's only so many reasons we can deny, and if an applicant jumps over the hurdles, they basically have to be granted that. Could you explain it better than I did, Scott?
I actually did a pretty good job. I mean, there are some things that the courts have said have to be expert opinions. Traffic, generation, and one of the...
Scott, pull your mic down.
One of the grounds for denial is...
Your mic's not on.
So one of the grounds for denial, for instance, is generating undue traffic congestion. That would probably take an expert to testify as to undue traffic generation being generated by this. Another ground is, but you got grounds such as materially altering the character of the neighborhood. Well, that is more of an opinion issue than truly an expert opinion. So depends on the criteria that you're looking at. Would depend on it. The thing that kind of jumps out at me when I look at it, first, I know there's concerns about the noise, but one of the conditions is there's no outside amplification. And the door, the front entrance, will be facing away from the neighborhood. It's facing towards Nova Road. And the way the special exception is written contemplates that this will be next to residential. I mean, it could very easily say a bar would be allowed unless it abuts residential, then you can't have it. Our code could say that, but it doesn't. It says it's allowed if you meet certain conditions. One of those conditions, you got to have a 6-foot wall along the abutting property line, and that's the one where Brian talked about. Really, it's the spirit, because if you look at that particular map, if you take the wall that's directly behind the warehouse and you move it across, it's kind of a strange piece of property, the way it's cut out. But if you
Go to the other picture, Rob.
if you move it where it says, well, that was the right picture.
No, the other one's cleaner, doesn't have all the markup.
Oh, okay. But where it says wall, if you just move the wall to the, is that east? I don't know what direction that is.
Yeah, to the east.
If you move the wall east across the B2 property so that it's running along those property lines, there's no question. But the wall was moved off the property line and moved directly behind the facility. That's where our code says it has to abut the property line, be on the property line. So you have a unique layout here, which is, where Brian says, technically, do they meet the exact wording? No, but do they meet the spirit? There's a wall that's between the bar and the residential. It just doesn't happen to be on that property line. And it's just because you have that area of B2 that separates the bar from that little slither of land that goes up to 3rd Street that then abuts the residential. So it's just a very unique piece of property. And most likely, I would think those residents would prefer to have the wall where it is than that wall running right along their property line. Most likely. If I was there, I would prefer that. So that's what, when Brian and I discussed it, and I supported him bringing it in his position that it is meeting the spirit of it, of the criteria, and of what we have. But ultimately, that's your decision. And so when you look at the decisions, the criteria they have to meet, they clearly meet 5 of the 6, and so you have this one where staff is saying that they practically meet the code, but technically where the wall is located doesn't comply with the exact wording of the code.
So the wall is there.
The wall is there, it's a 6-foot
It's just
masonry wall.
right behind the building instead of
Right by the house.
right by the house.
But it's actually running on a property line. It might not be the far
But it's just not
back
the
property line.
abutting property line.
Oh, it's abutting to the residential.
No, that's actually
No.
B2.
The entire property goes all the way.
Yeah, I know, I did, when we were
Yeah.
talking your office.
Yeah, it's a
But
very unique piece of
It's really because those 2 residences are right there in between the building and where the line of residents are, is why that wall's there.
Yeah,
Because there's two houses that sit right there.
But that's actually B2, that's not R1. That's not a
Oh,
residential
okay.
zone, so that's actually B2 zoning.
Yeah.
So a wall's not required to.
Where the houses are?
Isn't that right, Brian?
Where those two houses are, right there on Third Street?
So that's
Oh.
B2, so those are non-conforming uses.
Oh, okay.
So the wall's not required to buffer that piece of property. Maybe the wall was put in to provide a buffer
Happens
for
again,
the
I'm gonna ask the
residential.
mayor to ask you to leave.
But,
Right.
you know, that's just,
And that was before my time, so I don't even know.
I don't recall this, but so.
But the wall's there, it's just this location instead of this location.
Yeah, if you would have had the B2 property go all the way to the residences to the east, no walls required,
Oh, okay.
because now they only butt up against B2.
I believe that wall's higher than 6 foot anyway, isn't it?
I think it's 8.
Like 8 foot?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was built there originally
Yeah,
to keep
so
the
that's-
noise away.
It's just a very uniquely laid out piece of property. So it's, so I agree with Brian. Brian, I discussed it. I support his interpretation that it meets the spirit of what the intent we're trying to provide. And I think the point I just wanted to make is when the special exception was adopted, the city contemplated bar abutting residential. You contemplated it, because you could have, not you, but whoever the commission was at the time, could have said, we allow bars along Nova Road except if they abut residential. Then they couldn't have had it. It wasn't a special exception. The idea of a special exception is it's not technically a permitted use, but it's a use that we might be okay with, we'll be okay with as long as you meet certain conditions.
Right.
That's the whole point of the special exception. And what I would just add in I would incorporate the application, the terms of the application, into granting the special exception, which are the hours of operation and the limitation on beer and wine. So they made those representations to you. You're basing your decision apparently on that. And now, if they ever want to change that, they can come back and amend the special exception. The same notice will go out, just like it did this time, and everybody will know they're asking to amend the special exception. But what they've represented to this city is they only going to serve beer and wine, and they're only going to be open from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. And I agree, it's early for a bar, but if that's what they want, that's what they want. If they would decide to change it in the future, they can just come back and ask to amend the special exception.
Thank you. Any more questions for staff?
Well, that's actually one of the things I was going to do, so thank you. The other is, because it's a public hearing, we have to make sure nobody had any ex parte
Anyone-
communication.
Did you actually speak?
Yes, I got a text message today.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have had none.
I've had none. Okay, so no further discussion. It's time to entertain a motion.
I will make a motion that we approve this with the application designating the 10A to 9P operational hours. Beer and wine only are served, and there's no outside entertainment or audio devices.
That's actually a condition of the written requirement.
Okay.
All those are incorporated in that.
Is that good?
Yes.
Okay.
I second it.
Everybody knows what 10 a.m. and 9 p. is, I guess that's.
10 a.m. to 9
I
p.m.
assume that's police lingo.
No, actually, if it was police lingo, I would have said 1000 to 2100. I had to give it thought, though, because I haven't done that for a long time.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion needed?
And I only have quick. Our public hearings, like this is labeled under, we have to, like the attorney said, take into consideration the letter of the law. We can't take into consideration our opinions. We may feel a certain way, but we have the letter of the law we have to follow. If it's just with an ordinance or something like that, that varies a little bit. But with this, we're very constricted on what we can do by law. And I feel as though a a pub operating from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. We have a couple other neighborhood bars that I can think of off the top of my head. And we don't have a lot of issues from those. We never really have. I wouldn't suspect we'd have issues with this either. But what I do like about this is that it's only beer and wine, as opposed to our other neighborhood bars serve a full bar, liquor bar, or whatever it's called. And I like that there's no outside entertainment, because then we don't have a God, in Ponce Inlet, that was every weekend. We were getting calls about that stuff. So I'm glad we don't have to deal with that in this particular instance. So that's why I'll be supporting it.
I guess to kind of expand on what you're saying, and maybe this is what the mayor was going to say, is, there are times when you sit up here and you sit in your legislative capacity, and when you do that, you're making the laws, and you have very broad discretion, and you can decide. So you could have, or the commission, when this ordinance was adopted, had the discretion to say, we just don't want a bar next to residential zone. That could have been one of the conditions instead of the wall. Could have been, it can't be next to residential. That was a policy decision. You have broad discretion in establishing your policy. But once you take the policy that you've adopted and now you apply it to an applicant, you don't have discretion anymore. You have to, your decision, whatever it is, has to be supported by substantial, competent evidence. And the mayor is referring to competent evidence about, depending on what people are going to, sometimes citizens want to give opinions about things where the law, issues that the law says only experts can talk about that. That's what I think the mayor was getting at, and that's true. But you're still limited to those 6 criteria. That's the criteria you can look at, and you got the grounds for denial. Those were things that you look at, and you had the expert testimony of your planner, Brian, give you his opinion on that. So that's, that is a, from a competent, substantial evidence standpoint, then you say, okay, what other competent, substantial evidence do we have contrary to this? And that's the analysis you have to do when you do a quasi-judicial, and it's the same with the rezonings, variances, special exceptions, they're all the same.
Thank you.
That goes to my point, is that I'm sure several people will leave this meeting tonight thinking that we don't care, we didn't listen. We do care, and we did listen, but our hands are tied. And so this is one of the most difficult things when you sit up here in quasi-judicial. I personally may not like it, but I'm required to do this. So if there's enough people that don't want it, we can change the law in the future, but we certainly can't change it tonight. So we have to go with what's on the table. So anyone else want to discuss this?
One more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I realize that we have to make choices, and in my opinion, as the owner of this property, your current tenants hold a lot of weight because they've been with you. And I hope that you'll start out by thinking about a way to designate parking, a way to work with your tenants over, because I foresee that that's a challenge when you're a small business and people can't get to you. So I appreciate any conversations with your tenants, get their feeling about it, and then monitor it as it goes on. Thank you.
Any further discussion before we call for a vote?
No.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries 4-0. Now we'll talk about item 2, which is 776 Parquet Drive.
Commission, the applicant who is here this evening is seeking special exception approval to allow fence manufacturing on a parcel that is in the CC1 zoning district. This property is located on the northwest corner of Parquet Drive and Calle Grande Street. The overall property currently contains 4 buildings, each being approximately 13,133 square feet. The applicant is applying to do fence manufacturing at the building addressed as 776 Parquet Drive, but in order to do that, they need to receive a special exception subject to the provision of Section 114-684, which is in Exhibit A.
Brian, can I stop you 1 second? Are they actually manufacturing it or are they assembling it? I can't imagine they're making chain link fence there.
No, my understanding is that they receive parts and they assemble them, but that can be considered the putting together, the manufacturing under the broad definition.
Okay.
So we wanted to be on the, err on the side of caution and bring it before the commission. Now, in order to approve fence manufacturing at this location, the city commission has to find that the site and the conditions meet the requirements of section 114-684. Additionally, section 82-346 of the land development regulations are attached as Exhibit B, and that provides guidance with regard to reasons why the special exception can be denied. Staff has reviewed the requirements along with the reasons for denial. The proposal is not inconsistent with any elements of the comprehensive plan, nor will it adversely affect the public interest or create a nuisance. Based on the information provided, staff does not object to the application for the special exception. There is a storage area as well where the applicant has fence supplies. And the storage area for fence supplies does use some parking spaces. The applicant states that they do not have a showroom, nor do customers visit their business. Customers contact them via the internet or phone, and a representative of the business goes out to the customer. So this reduces the need for customer parking. Employees also use company vehicles as their main transportation and take such vehicles home, and this reduces the need for employee parking. Given these circumstances, staff has no objections to the use of some of the parking spaces for storage. And just to give a little bit more information on the parking, this particular project was required to have 132 parking spaces, which is basically 26 per building. They actually have 152 spaces, which is 20 more than required, and 12 of those extra spaces are for the particular building in question. So they have additional spaces, and when you combine that with the fact that they don't have a showroom, they don't have customers, and the employees are using the vehicles as take-home made vehicles, it significantly reduces the need for the parking there. So based on that, staff recommends a conditional approval of the special exception to allow fence manufacturing and related storage on a parcel in the CC1 zoning district located on the northwest corner of Parquet Drive and Calle Grande Street. The building is identified as 776 Parquet Drive. Those conditions are that a business tax receipt must be kept up to date. The special exception applies to the specific business of fence manufacturing at 776 Parquet Drive. All manufacturing work must be done in a completely enclosed building. The perimeter of the property involved shall be inspected by the city and adequately fenced and screened to the city's satisfaction. Areas used for storage of materials must have screening that is 100% opaque. That area at this particular point in time, I believe, is not screened 100% opaque. If I'm wrong on that, the applicant can correct me.
It's got the black net up there now, right? Isn't that what's up there?
It really doesn't have anything at this, you doesn't have anything at this point, and that no barbed wire is permitted. They did have some barbed wire that was removed. It is not there, and no barbed wire can be placed there. So the applicant will need to
Sounds like our metal detector fell.
that concludes that.
My ticker's working. My ticker's working.
Any questions for Brian at this time?
Oh, my gosh.
No.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Actually, I did have a question real quick, I'm sorry. Oh, man, that really messed me up. You said the parking lot can be used for storage. I don't want it to get messy.
Yes, and that is part of the reason that they have to have 100%, that's
Screen.
staff's recommendation.
that- okay.
Condition that they have 100% opacity. It cannot be seen through. So what staff is recommending is that they not just be allowed to have that kind of screening that you can
Right.
kind of see through. It needs to be such that you
Okay.
cannot see it.
Okay, thank
It
you.
is
They
unattractive.
they could probably get a fence to do that.
Yes.
Hey, Brian, how many units are they gonna use there? Just curiosity, really. it just
I'm not
doesn't
sure
matter.
how many, the building, so the building is divided up,
Are they gonna use
and
the-
they move walls around, so.
Are they gonna use that whole entire building? Are they taking the whole building?
They're not using the whole building, no.
How many units are you, I know the building, so I'm just curious.
Wait,
Like
you
six?
gotta, we gotta bring them up so we can get out recording.
That's okay. I'm good. I was
Okay.
just curious more than anything.
Would the applicant like to add anything? Would you like to add anything to?
Thanks, Brian.
Good.
Alex, I'm one of the business owners.
What's your last name, Alex?
Trestin, Trestin.
Thank you.
I'm the owner of the company with my family. We're putting this request because, as you asked the same thing, I don't know what they mean with manufacturing. I'm actually not building any parts or anything. What we do is receive our truckloads, and basically what we are actually doing there is just routing the poles, making the holes for the fence, and that's done inside of the warehouse. The part that we fence, where the parking lot is just the materials that we're preparing for the next day, we're putting them outside. That way.
Well,
we can
okay.
have storage on the inside. for
So not a
retail.
bunch of trash and,
No, we
okay.
have a roll-on, roll-off big dumpster for all the trash and everything
Okay.
that we are taking out. Mr. Diane's been helping us with everything, and we're more than willing to put the mesh. I haven't put it yet because I don't know what's going to happen.
I think he's gonna require something more than mesh. He doesn't wanna see through it at all.
We'll
Yeah.
be able to do whatever needs to be
Okay.
done because we need that space
Right.
so we can storage more products on the inside.
Mr. Delanoy, you had a question? You want to ask him?
No, but now that you're bringing up that mesh, just make sure you get with them so you don't financially
100%.
buy something that might not work.
Yes.
But I think it's a great thing myself.
Any questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir. We may
Thank
call you
you.
back up, but thank you. Is there anyone from the audience that'd like to address this issue this evening?
My name's Brian Frazier. I live on the corner next to the warehouses that they built over there. I'm kind of thinking, why are we even having a special session if they're doing everything inside? What is the purpose, what are they asking for? Are they gonna be making a lot of noise, assembling these parts together inside of a building?
I think they've been there for about 6 months. If you haven't heard them now, you're not going to hear them.
I realize that, but again, are they asking to do more than they're already doing? I'm kind of confused on what we're even here for.
Okay, well, I'll get Mr. Walker to come up and address your concern.
Okay, my concern more so is about the noise and the traffic that may come from anything additional that might be asked for.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, in the tan shirt, this is where you wanted to come up. You okay?
I think she said him
Okay.
instead.
Brian, did you want to address that concern, please?
Sure, so in order to have a special exception, in order to be granted a special exception, it has to be any manufacturing, which there are different degrees of manufacturing. One simple definition is taking the parts and putting them together into a finished product. That is what they are doing. So, but in order to get the special exception, everything does have to be inside. So doing it outside is not an option. All the manufacturing has to be inside. They have been doing it. Code enforcement has been out there. And so staff feels that the applicant did not realize that they weren't able to put things together in the sense of manufacturing. And so this is an effort to legitimize them, and they are meeting the requirements of the special exception.
And so, to be fair, you might call this light manufacturing. It's basically assembly and they're drilling holes, so it's not a sausage factory.
Correct.
So, since they've been doing it, and I assume code enforcement went by, and that's why we're here tonight,
They weren't code enforced for that specific activity, they were code enforced for things related to it.
Okay.
Like the barbed wire on the fence.
but that's why we're here tonight.
That was brought to our attention.
So anything that they have been doing for 6 months, any traffic that there's been, it is now what it is going to be.
Exactly. There's not going to be
Okay.
any additional noise. In fact, it will be better because now they are going to take what is outside, which is not attractive. When I went by, it's not attractive, and that's why I said, this has got to be screened
Okay,
in.
thank you.
Thank you.
I think that was some of the concern, so.
Anyone else from the audience like to address this? Seeing none, we'll close audience participation and entertain a motion.
I will make, wait. We gotta say if we've had ex parte communication.
We can do that after you do that.
Oh, okay. Then we go out of line. I'll make a motion for approval.
Second it.
Has anyone had any ex parte communication?
No, I have not.
No.
No.
Hey, I'm just trying to keep you on your toes.
Any discussion needed amongst the commission?
No, sir.
All
I'm
in
gonna
favor
throw
signify
something
by
in.
saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you.
Something
So now we'll move on to city manager comments. Joe?
Two items. One is scheduling a goal-setting session. Karen from the League of Cities, I sent out a number of dates, and we narrowed it down to either Thursday, the 24th, or Tuesday, the 29th, whichever you think would be best for all of you.
24th
It's Thursday.
or 29th. I'm good with either.
You're going camping on the 25th, so.
Yeah, I know.
On the 24th.
Thank you for reminding me of my schedule.
I'm good, whatever opens
Good.
by that time. Just
I'm good for
let me know
either,
everybody
Joe.
else.
Everybody's good? Okay. And the last thing I
Which
want
one are
to...
we doing?
Yeah, can I put it in my calendar?
Yeah, whichever one I get with Karen, and I'll send out a
You're so
calendar invite.
difficult.
Okay.
And
Oh,
it's still gonna,
Unless the four of you pick a date, then I'll pick that one.
What time are we doing this thing?
Probably noon.
What day is that gonna fall on? What did you hear, 29th?
Thursday, the 24th, Tuesday's the 29th.
Let's do it Tuesday.
They're not commission days.
I'm good. Yeah,
Do
I
it
agree.
Tuesday.
Let's do it the 29th.
Okay, we'll do the
I'll put
29th.
it in my
Okay,
calendar.
now put it in your calendar.
April 29th?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
my birthday. I won't be
All right, we'll have a
right.
cake, Jeff.
Yeah, we'll have Val.
So that means you're bringing lunch?
All right, so
Commissioner Delanoy's not going to be here.
Oh, well, that's not
Oh.
good then.
make it the
Okay.
24th.
Birthday. I was going to get him a cake, but
You don't get a cake now.
we'll do it on the 24th, and you're not getting a cake.
Yeah, really.
No cake for you.
So the other thing I wanted to bring up is I attend the YMCA board meetings, for the local YMCA board, not the main board, but the local one right here. And of course, as we know, this YMCA still struggles with funding, not only from the corporate office, but the local fundraising that they do. Right now, they're going through a basket raffle fundraising opportunity. They're a bit behind. So in the conversations, we talk about different things that they try to do in programs and scheduling. But it occurred to me that the Daytona Beach YMCA closed down many years ago. That was over there by 3rd Street in Derbyshire. So I asked how many people from Daytona Beach are registered at our facility versus how many Holly Hill residents are registered at our facility. And there's actually 503 Holly Hill residents and 554 Daytona Beach residents. So with your direction, I'd like to reach out to the city of Daytona Beach and see if they are willing to partner with us on the operations of this facility, being that we are providing this facility to their residents at the reduced rate that only the Holly Hill facility provides to Holly Hill residents and Daytona Beach residents. So they're reaping the benefits of our facility. And as you know, most cities that provide any kind of a recreational service, if they provide it to people who are not their residents, there's an increased cost. Well, we're not charging an increased cost to the Daytona Beach residents So I want Daytona Beach to potentially become a partner in this and help us dollars to help fund the YMCA to some degree. So at your direction, I'd like to at least engage in that conversation with
I
with
think that's a
Daytona.
good idea. No.
Sounds good.
Okay. That's all that I have.
Joe, I know you sent us all out an email concerning 700 Grove, but it might be helpful to just give us a brief overview.
Sure. Since the last meeting, we got direction to go ahead and clear the property. The code officer has been making phone calls to contractors to try to get price quotes because it's, so far the quotes, we've received 2 quotes and they both exceed $20,000. So in order for me to comply with our purchasing policy, we need to get three quotes. And we haven't gotten that third one in yet. People just are not responding. So we're waiting for that third quote in order to go ahead and do that. I'm actually going to be meeting out on the property tomorrow at 9 a.m. because ironically enough, or stupidly enough, however we want to put it, the occupants are taking items from the property now that I don't think belong to them. Things like the shed, the air conditioning unit. So in my opinion, I think it's theft. So I'll be meeting with a law enforcement officer out there tomorrow morning to find out if, in fact, he's taken items from the property that he doesn't belong to as somebody who's squatting on property of a dead man. So that's what I have at this point.
Thanks, Joe.
And I assume we'll act accordingly?
Whatever the officer deems to be necessary, that's not my
We'll act
decision.
accordingly?
So they
Thank
haven't
you.
left, Joe? Did they?
No,
they
they're
haven't?
still there.
No, they're
Yeah.
still
Oh, no, they're still there.
You're just saying things disappear, I guess. Things
Yeah.
vanishing.
Yep.
Thanks, Joe. And you got anything for us, Scott?
No, sir.
I've got a couple things. Hopefully you can all be available April 17th, which is Thursday, the commission I'm speaking to, at noon. It's our Employee Appreciation Day, which is 4/17. We will be serving barbecue to 45 or 50 of our employees over at Seco Hall,
Why only 45 or 50?
because that's all that replied that want to come. So we're not going to buy food for 100 if only 50 are going to come.
So it's not gonna be at sunrise? I thought it was gonna be at sunrise.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I don't know where it is. No,
Well,
it's at sunrise now.
my calendar says sunrise.
It's at
It
sunrise.
did say in case of rain, yeah.
Okay. I'm still scared about the bomb that went off in the hallway out there.
And my heart's still going.
And there's a lot of things going on in the city coming up, special events. I see Holly Forest is in the front row, and I know they will be at Pictona on March 28th
Yay!
at 7 o'clock. It's going to be a dance party, and I've seen some, they've got some glow sticks to give you and goofy glasses and everything you're going to get when you get there. So should be a good time. It's from 7 to 9. It's called Rocky and the Rollers. It's free to anyone that wants to come. Please go on the city website, hollyhillevents.org, and so we know who's coming. We have over 1,000 tickets that have been reserved. It's right up with the same number that Hayfire, and ironically, only half the people that reserve tickets show up. So we're expecting a crowd of about 500 people.
And they're free.
They're free. That's why they don't show up and get a better offer. Joe had something he needed to add.
Yeah, I had this other paper sitting off to the side. Today I sat in on a conference call for the Elevate Florida program, and that's the information that we sent out to the folks that we knew of that had some flood losses from either Ian or Milton. I'm going to be producing another flyer that we're going to send out, put on our website, put out on social media, and it's got the different opportunities for property owners to apply for funding. One is the Elevate Florida, the other is Transform 386, the other is the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program through the local mitigation strategy, and then there's the United States Small Business Administration loans. So I want to make that available, but more importantly, the Elevate Florida application period is going to end on April the 11th. So people have to get their application in by the 11th.
They're
or
not
they
given
will know
much
it.
time.
This has been out for months. Anybody that hasn't applied by now, it's their fault because I've made them aware.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And then Valerie has another big event coming up April 12th. Have you gotten anyone for the bunny suit yet? Okay. So we
Your
have,
daughter gets stuck with doing that all the time.
according to this flyer before me, it's our 22nd annual Easter egg event on the front lawn. Starts at 10 a.m. promptly, and that means promptly, because at 10:02, all the eggs are gone. So you have about 120 seconds to get your kid here, and if you're late, they will cry,
You
and it's
blink
all your fault.
and they're gone.
April 12th.
I've never seen kids gather eggs so quickly.
So that's all I have. Commissioner Delanoy.
I brought it before Joe, me and Joe meet every morning, all of us do this. Every week, we meet with Joe on a certain time for about an hour. That's why sometimes we don't talk about, you'll hear an issue come up and we just might look like we're just stone cold up here. We've already discussed it and, kind of already, not that we've made decisions on them or anything, but we kind of already know a lot of it, we already know what's going on. But I've had, actually, after today, I had another phone call about speeding. Tonight I heard multiple things about speeding, and there is a lot of speeding in Holly Hill. Our police department does excellent work. I've lived here my whole life. We've always had a pretty decent police department. I'm not sitting up here going to try to blow up the police department, but I think they're better than they ever have. They can't be there all the time, but we need to start doing something. I talked to Joe about speed bumps. Daytona Beach has speed bumps. I don't want to see Holly Hill turn into something like Daytona, where every 400 or 25 yards in some of those streets there's a speed bump. But Joe had brought up to my attention that in our ordinances, or I don't know what is that's in the speed bump decisions.
In our ordinances, that's just a document that I've produced as to the reasons why we don't put speed bumps out at the direction of the commission.
Yeah, so he gave me that. It was a list of reasons that I guess the commission at one time had made decisions of not to have speed bumps. But, times are getting a little bit, busier around here. The population's growing. There are people, I live on a through street from Ridgewood to Riverside. And I've had multiple accidents by my house. A couple of them, one of them was pretty tragic. And I know that the ones I've heard from, the same thing. It's mostly, a lot of it, I think, are the through streets from Ridgewood to Riverside. I know Ridgewood, Riverside Drive, people are speeding down there all the time because they get on my butt because I only do 25 and they're wanting me to go faster all the time. But anyway, I would like to have some sort of more of a discussion about it. I don't mean to put speed bumps everywhere. I don't know if all the residents would want them. I wouldn't mind it. You could put one in front of my house. I would love to have one, in front of my house. I got grandkids that come over and we play in the front yard and stuff, and I'm always, putting my hand up or shouting at them, slow down or whatever.
We can discuss that at our goal setting session.
Well, yeah, all right. Well, that sounds good. I just wanted to bring it up.
No, good idea.
Because I just wanted, I think that there is a legitimate call for discussing it, at least. So, that's what I had to say tonight.
That's it.
Yep. I'll cut it.
Commissioner Snow.
I'm all set, thank you.
Commissioner Curry.
I don't have anything to say tonight. Everybody have a good night. I know, it's amazing. Write it down.
For me, I usually don't say much.
One thing for my fellow commissioners, I think you should expect to be contacted by Julie Smith. She's the lady that owns the property on Flomish, which is the RV resort. They're developing it. They offered a site visit to myself. I went out last week and got in the four-wheeler and went all around the property and saw how things are going to be laid out, and I suggested that they make that offer to you all individually. You can't go together. But if you get a phone call from a lady, Julie Smith, it's not a prank phone call. So
Good, thank you.
So without anything further, we'll go ahead and be adjourned.
All right, thank you.